Warning, the following video is totally chaotic. It is not my best video. It isn't easy to watch, and it really wasn't easy to make. But after 4 years, 4 hours of footage, and 4 failed drafts, it exists, and I'm proud. So thank you so much for coming along for the ride.
Hello, you guys. It's Christina, and welcome back to my channel. I cannot tell you how long I have been waiting to say that again. I am so happy to be back in this space with you guys. It has been a while. I'm really sorry about that. I never intended to go this long between videos. I never expected to stop vlogging. I know that a lot of you have been worried about me. I am okay. I am okay now. I am working to be more okay, but I'm the most okay that I've been in a long time. I wanted to come on here today and give you guys an update. I obviously have a lot to catch up on, so we're not going to be able to touch on everything in this video, but I will have more coming out soon. I've been kind of putting off making a video. I wanted to come back with, you know, a better microphone, maybe a better camera, better lighting, but I didn't want to push off making this video because I was waiting on that stuff, because this is just how my channel has always been. It's never been about the fancy bells and whistles, and I don't think you guys are here for any kind of special editing techniques. I figured that it would mean more to you if I just came back. I've always just wanted this channel to feel like a place where we could come and feel like you're sitting down with a friend and talking and catching up. It's truly such a blessing having this little community in this little corner of the internet that I felt like I could come back to. It is still a little bit, what's the word? Intimidating. This internet that I'm returning to is actually kind of different than the one that I left. I feel like with the invention of TikTok and Instagram Reels, people have gotten used to shorter form content. And I gotta say, I love me a good reel, but I'm not really a short form person. As you guys know, I'm a talker. I guess you guys are gonna have to tell me if this kind of video is something that you're still interested in and what you guys want to see from me. But I felt like I couldn't really return and just go straight into like topical videos or vlogs without updating you. And no, I have not been working on my amazing video editing skills, so I apologize for all the cuts and the choppiness. This is how I've always made my videos. It's probably how it's always gonna be. I've got a lot of brain fog and I really have to cut together my videos. And if that's still something that you want to come along with me for, then I'm back. I think I should start this update with a little bit of a disclaimer. Believe it or not, I have not spent this little hiatus of mine becoming a doctor or a nurse or any kind of medical professional, so I cannot share medical advice with you guys. I can only share 28 years of lived experience within this body and the knowledge that I have gained over those years. I can really only share my story, and my story is complex and unique, as all of ours are, and it's been molded and shaped by many different outside influences. So I don't want the takeaway to be that just because this happened to me or that happened to me, that is what one should expect from any of the medical conditions that I have, mainly EDS. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is a vast spectrum, and they all have these very different like clusters of complexities that come along with our individual cases, to the point where we really cannot expect two people to have the same experience, even with the same doctors, the same medications, the same surgeries, the same braces. My intention is never to come on here and spread any kind of fear or to bash or badmouth any physicians or surgeons. I am incredibly grateful to all of the medical professionals who have taken place in my story and who have gotten me here, quite literally. And I kind of worry a little bit that as I share my story over the next couple of videos, that maybe people will have the wrong takeaway. All we can really do is try to help each other out and give each other advice on what worked for us and what didn't. But I don't ever really want people to look at me and think that I am the eventual outcome or that their experience will mirror mine. This may be even more applicable to my next video on my spinal fusion and kind of what happened with that, but I think it's important to put here just to get that reminder in. It's a big, big spectrum. Okay, take 10 million. Somebody Venmo your girl a new camera battery. This one is not holding a charge. This is ridiculous. But what has happened since we last checked in? Well, I just spent the time that it took my camera battery to charge back up to go back and watch my last vlog from 5 years ago. Oh my gosh, holy moly, we have a lot to catch up on. And this is really the first time that I've been able to sit down and talk about it and watch those videos, because it's very difficult to go back and have to relive that. That's another reason why I've put off this video a little bit. I just needed to be in the right headspace. It's still really difficult. Some of the problems that can arise when you're not dealing directly with your trauma.
The last we checked in was April 2020, and it was the exact day that the pandemic hit and everything shut down, which left us scrambling to try to figure out how to manage some of my post-sepsis complications all on our own.
I'm doing that. So now am I doing the figure 8 again?
Yes. Mm-hmm. You just want to make sure you don't have any holes. If there's a hole, that's where the fluid's going to go.
Oh no, Mom.
I was rapidly putting on swelling all over my entire body. My blood sugars were all over the place, and the pain in my back and legs and neurological dysfunction reached a point I could no longer handle.
If you even touched or moved my leg, I would scream. I would pass out or vomit. Pain was all I knew.
My surgeon attempted to solve the problem by further anchoring my fusion to my sacrum.
I was just not recovering from that surgery the way that I had recovered from my previous surgeries.
Ultimately, despite being on total bed rest, the surgery failed and basically trapped us in a hotel many hours from home for months. Eventually, we had to make the decision to fuse my right SI joint just to transport me home. Although this surgery didn't actually do anything to solve the real problem, it did provide me with a totally different kind of stability, and I would absolutely do it again.
The reason that I did not have both sides fused was because it had a fracture on the left side of my pubic bone from falling, and he was really concerned that if he started to hammer into that bone, that fracture could potentially extend. I wish I had had it so many years before that. I would never go back and change that.
Once home, despite trying absolutely everything, my condition continued to deteriorate until the day when the game changed, when I felt my entire spine collapse inside of me.
My surgeon made the determination that there was no longer anything that he could do for me to fix what was happening, and I was put onto palliative care to manage my pain. They have a little bit more wiggle room with medication and how it's dosed and stuff like that. So they were really fantastic, but I fought the system hard. I was not accepting. I was so angry at my parents for allowing these people into my home who were coming in and telling me that I now needed this power chair and I now needed to be on comfort care. And I was just so angry at everybody for accepting this. Everyone was just doing their job. Everyone was just doing everything they could to keep me comfortable and to make things better for me. And I just wasn't having it because I felt like everyone was giving up on me. These were all things that were good. These were all things that were aimed to help me. But I did not want to talk about anything that wasn't curative. There are a lot of really complicated feelings that come with being told there's nothing more that I can do. I decided I was gonna find a doctor who would take me. And it was through the grace of God that I did. Don't get me wrong, my parents were still supportive of me looking for more answers and looking for someone who could treat me. But in the meantime, they saw me in misery and they were just trying to improve that quality of life. I really respect the decision of my surgeon for backing away and saying, there's nothing more that I can do to improve things for you. There's no way I could have even made the drive anyway. I found the most amazing team that I could have possibly found, the perfect team for what I was going through. I just distinctly knew that I was not done. And to be honest, if it was over, I want to die trying. I am so lucky and thankful that that's not what happened. They were able to perform an absolute miracle, and I came out of it with unbelievable success. More than any of us expected, much more than the surgeon even expected. I will save the details of that one for the next video. That is a story that I can't wait to tell you guys. Without the fusion, I would not be here today.
Now, if you've really been paying attention to my timeline, you may have noticed that I did leave two kind of major things out. First, my shunt. While I was dealing with everything else, my shunt also managed to fail on me twice. But sometimes it's just easier to talk about things once, so I sort of just put it all here. Give your girl a break. She's sorting through 5 years of trauma here.
I have a shunt to help with my intracranial hypertension. A shunt is a device used to drain excess spinal fluid. The pressure in my head is too high and it needs to go somewhere. When I last talked to you, I had an LA shunt, meaning I had a piece of tubing with lots of little components strung along the way that went from my lower back, my lumbar spine, all the way up into my heart, and that's where it drained. That eventually stopped working for me, and the hospital that placed it actually deemed it medically dangerous. It was kind of experimental, and apparently it was an experiment gone wrong. They recommended I had it removed. Since it stopped working, I did. I found a new doctor who we had to travel quite far to see. He moved it to be an LP shunt, meaning the tubing still came out of the same place in my lower back, but instead it drained just right into like my abdominal cavity, and my body reabsorbed it from there. That worked until it no longer did. And I was too ill at that point to travel, so I found a doctor local to me. He moved the shunt to my brain. He put all the components up here on top of my skull, under the skin, and then it goes into my brain. And then there's tubing that runs all the way through here into my abdominal cavity, just like the old one did. I got a really fun haircut with that one. I got half my head shaved, so you can see. Got short little hair on this side and much longer hair on oh god, this side. Got some little earrings put in so that I had something to show off while my hair was growing back. So that happened.
The other thing I left out of my timeline was my gallbladder. It actually failed only about a week after my spine collapsed while I was awaiting surgery. I had been in the hospital for 5 days with my spine, came home, took a nap, and woke up and immediately had to turn right back around and go to the hospital again.
Apparently it had been infected and dying for years, full of stones, absolutely useless, and it was starting to like morph into my liver. It was just a nightmare. I got extremely ill. I thought it was my appendix. News to me that this thing had been just percolating in there. That was a really risky one because it was right next to the tubing that was now running from my new shunt, and they were so worried that the infection would end up hopping onto the tubing and ending up in my brain that as soon as I got to the ER, they were already planning to get that thing out. They put in a drain for about a day or two, but I felt so good once it was out. I had a bunch of incisions and the wounds just did not want to close. But besides that, everything went smoothly. We don't miss him. We don't. So obviously this was a lot to go through medically in a short period of time. But Christina, why didn't you vlog any of this? Well, I can tell you that during this time, I was not the same girl that you're seeing now in front of you and that you've seen in the past. I was in so much pain, so ill, and was so medicated that I was no longer really present in my life. I wasn't going anywhere. Nobody was going anywhere at that time, but I was just going to the bathroom. I could not do it anymore. I lost the ability to do anything but lay in bed and just wait for the next pain medication and really just the next day. And I felt like I had reached a place where I didn't have any content to share. And I didn't have these words that I have now to explain my situation. All of these things failing on me and compounding all at once. And I think just the years of repeated trauma really caught up with me. I was diagnosed with PTSD. I have been working with a wonderful therapist for the last 2 years, and I have had to deal with a lot of things that at the time I just wasn't able to process. I think that's something that we don't talk about enough in the chronic illness community. We have to compartmentalize. I think we a lot of times end up in the cycle of fight or flight where we're just trying to make it to the next day. We're just trying to survive. We were on our toes this entire time. Eventually, it catches up with you. You just have to like survive and deal with it later. I have been dealing with it.
Despite still healing from a life-altering surgery, being back on tube feeds 24/7, still dealing with the devastating after effects of sepsis and edema and mitochondria involvement, vascular compressions, endometriosis, sleep disorders, and so much more.
I'm kind of choosing to be grateful that I'm finally dealing with the collateral issues. I feel lucky enough to be on this side of things. I am still very medically fragile. The pandemic might be over to most people. To me, it's still very much a threat. There are still some of us living in that reality. So shout out to you guys who are also still living the quarantine life. I see you.
I'm so thankful that there's so much I'm still able to do from home. I'm doing a ton of art and commissions.
A lot of medical advocacy. I have started working with end-of-life patients as well, doing death doula work. I like to call it end-of-life companionship. And I'm really excited to be back in this space talking to you guys. This is where I belong, and this is where I want to be, and I have more to say. All I can hope is that you guys are still willing to listen. If you liked this video, it'd be awesome if you give it a thumbs up to let me know. If you want to see more videos, then you can hit that subscribe button. There's also a bell icon to let you know when I'm uploading. I can't promise any kind of upload schedule. I don't know how this is going to work. You're gonna have to stick with me a little bit on this one, but I really hope you do. So, for now, I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.